we're witnessing so much crazy in the world right now on so many levels. We're seeing, like, right across the UK, we're seeing it go from one guy, one messed up 17-year-old who had quite clearly been failed by the education system, the social system, the communities that he grew up in. Like, you've got a child that he is no man, right? He is a child who was born and raised in the UK, right? Who has gone through so much, whatever he's gone through, and he was so messed up that he went and he caused incredible harm and incredible suffering to many, and he hurt, physically killed 3, and who knows where his head was at the time. He certainly didn't. And this is a young adult. You can't even call him an adult. Where his head was at, you can't call him that. It was someone who never learned to take responsibility for their actions, who had a hell of a lot of stuff. It takes a hell of a lot of stuff to make one human turn against another human being, right? We all have the capacity to get angry and upset at other people. Think about it. The state that young human, that young soul was in for that to happen. And then, after causing incredible violence and incredible harm and incredible suffering to all those who were present, who are, you know, who knows how long it'll take to recover, if ever, you know, all that suffering. On the back of that, before anyone can go and see anything else or do anything else, because no one knows, we have had the most incredible amount of separateness and division and racism fly across the country. That separateness, that those people telling themselves stories. What are the stories that these people are telling themselves to make themselves then go out and hurt even more? They're so outraged at the hurt that was caused and the suffering that was caused that day. They too now want to go out and cause suffering and hurt and pain and rage and spread it on. Since when? Since when did 2 people hurting each other solve anything? When? Since when did it make it right? Did it bring anything back into balance? Do people not realise, right? Because it's quite clear to me that not many people do, that where we're at right now, we have this opportunity to recognise our behaviour and actually take time to use our free will, the free will we were born with, to actually weigh up a situation, to weigh up the situation that we're in and work out, like, what's going on right now. People shouldn't have to be feeling so threatened that their lives depend on it. There is enough in this world for all of us. There is enough in this world to go round. There is enough abundance. There is enough money. There is enough love for everyone on the planet. There is no lack. There is no limitation in love and in stuff that can go round, that resources. We can help our brothers and sisters globally. And yet, for some reason, these people, by the thousands, it's gone from one person causing incredible harm to a whole classroom and beyond, a community, that community was hurt by default. And he's gone from that to people up and down the country, and this bullshit about racism and immigrants. This action was done by a British citizen who was born in the UK. They were born there. And we have actions and behaviour happening from people who were born in the country. Do you know what? There are lots and lots of people out there with the capacity to hurt others. And they're in the same country that they were born in. Where you're from in the world does not in any way connect to how you are able to connect with other people. A race does not mean that you're good or bad or right or wrong. A religion does not mean you're good or bad or right or wrong. We're all part of one race, the human race. We are all part of this one world that we live in. We are all connected. What I breathe, you breathe. Wherever you are in the world, what I do here affects you. What you do there affects me. And even if you can't open your mind and realise the interconnectedness of the all of everything, recognise, wake up and see that peace on earth cannot possibly exist if we continue to behave in a way where we're not taking responsibility for ourselves or asking another person to take responsibility for their shit. This child who was born and raised in the UK is so fucked up because of a lack of people who were there for him, that he thought that violence was the only answer. Where in his life has he ever had accountability? It's not just down to parents, right? You can have really good parents and still be let down and still get dragged into crazy shit going on in the world. You still have crazy shit going on in the world. You can grow up in a really wealthy home with the best parents in the world, and you can still go down the pub or go to the local park or go to the local youth group and meet someone, and before you know it, you're drinking alcohol maybe for the first time in your life, or you're just trying to keep up with the other people, with your peers. Maybe you want to impress people, so you want to take drugs or you want to smoke or you want to try and be bigger and harder than anyone else. It's all the ego games that we all play as children. We don't have to carry that on being adults. Being adults means we're supposed to be taking responsibility for our own shit. Right? Take responsibility for our actions, for our thoughts, for our behaviours. Learning to be accountable for stuff. Learning accountability helps us live in a more peaceful community. It helps bring peace. Accountability brings peace. Going in and saying my country's better than yours, going in and saying I want that, if someone's taking something off them, it's not gonna fucking work. Not gonna fucking work. Because life's not like that. Now, we have spent our lifetimes, my lifetime certainly, and generations before, you can see all the wars, all the things in the world where all these crazy things are going on, and people for generations have thought, it's okay because I'm bigger, I'm harder, I'll sort it. Well, it doesn't matter how big and how hard and how fucking fantastic you think you are, you get your day. Yeah? And no matter how far you go up, there's always down. We're only a step away from becoming homeless. We're only a step away from losing everything that we own. World peace, like equality, it comes from an understanding of ourselves, and it starts at home, in our hearts. It starts at home, in our bodies. Taking accountability for our actions and being responsible for our own shit. So I just want you to realise that world peace, if you want peace, especially global peace, I would love global peace right now. To get global peace, I'm working on myself. Yeah, I'm taking accountability for myself, taking responsibility for myself, because I want peace in the world. I want peace. I'm sick of living like this. I'm sick of living like where so much hurt goes on, and so many people just want to pass the buck. No one wants to take responsibility. Sorry, that's generalising. Some people do want to take responsibility, but as a whole, in societies, we want to blame. And blaming's bullshit. It's a belief system. BS, belief system, bullshit. Same thing, right? Blaming is bullshit. Blaming is a belief system because it means that you believe, right? Or the person who's blaming is believing in something that says, I'm right and you're wrong. Well, guess what? There is no right and wrong in this world. There is no right and no wrong in this world. There is only balance. Because who are we to say what's right and what's wrong, what's acceptable and what's not? We all have our own moral compass. But it's so easy to blame someone else. It's so easy to say, well, the education system did it. The parents did it. The government did it. They've had trauma. Like, so many of us go through trauma in our life. I've never met anyone who has not experienced trauma. Never met anyone who hasn't experienced trauma in their lives. Some more than others, right? And what's traumatic to one and how that trauma affects one person is completely different in how that same thing or something almost the same category of thing has affected someone else, because some of us have got a higher level of resistance. Some of us have become more resilient to things than others. Someone brought up in a home where they're beaten every day will have a higher resilience level compared to someone that just gets hit once every so often. And someone who doesn't get hit at all would just not have any concept to that, because it would just take a word or something like that. And that person would have the same response as someone who's used to being beaten for the sake of it. We're all different. We all have different life experiences, and until we learn to take responsibility for our own stuff and be accountable for our own stuff, we're not going to attain peace. Not in ourselves, certainly. And as for global peace, until people see how people are capable of attaining peace in themselves, like the Dalai Lama attains peace in himself, and therefore he He's not a war-mongering citizen. He isn't about... He sees the pointlessness of violence and abuse and that kind of thing. He knows that there is no point. There is no point at all to that kind of behaviour because it gets nowhere. We're going from a time in humanity where, like, this craziness, this war, this aggression, well, not this war, but the global wars going on, the aggressions, the egos battles, the mine's bigger than yours, I want this, he did that, he said that. It's like school ground, like playground shit on a global level, done by men and women who are full-grown adults and supposed to be in charge. We already have universal law, and we're not living by it right now. Universal law means there's cause and effect, right? Cause and effect. So if we do something, it's got an effect. Now, can we take accountability and be responsible for the effect that we're having? Because if we can change how it affects things. But until we can be responsible and take accountability for our own stuff, instead of blaming everyone else, it'll just continue to ripple out, and affect everyone else. And it stops. You know, the books should stop with us. You know, it's the places globally, this is a global thing. This isn't just Britain. Everywhere, we're like, oh yeah, we're treating surface woundings. Like we do it in the medical system. We treat the surface instead of treating the root. If someone hurts themselves, we'll sort out the wound. We're not looking at why that person was hurt in the first place. We're not looking at where that person's head was at when the car crashed, or where the person's head was at when they tripped over and broke themselves or burnt themselves. So many of us run on autopilot because we forget where we are or what we're doing because we just don't have the capacity to stop and breathe. And if we stopped and breathed, we'd be able to take a moment and say, whoa, and we'd be able to have a bit more clarity and see with the world what's going on. You know, we need to move from the world which the global mentality, it's certainly not shared by everyone, but that mentality that says that it's someone else's fault. We need to move from it's someone else's fault to how can I take responsibility for my actions, to how can I accept that shit's happened, things have happened that I really don't like. My life might have been turned completely upside down, but you know what? I'm gonna take this as a wrecking ball of grace, and I'm gonna use that power that it brought in. I'm gonna use that to find a way to see how I can change this and make things a bit better.